went down to Mexico last year, you
Correct.
know, and I doubt there was great cell, or any cell phone reception.
Exactly.
So if
Can't
we
we-
get into a situation where that's a problem, there should be something accounting for that.
Can we just put the word "when" in front of that? When eligible employees are required to carry their mobile device on their person, both on and off duty? Because that would say, the "when," just that verbiage would say that we're telling them it's required, you know, when they're,
The-
You can put when feasible at the end. I mean, it's their own personal cell phone.
yeah. So they're gonna carry it anyway.
Right. That's
Even on
probably
vacation, you had your cell phone, didn't you?
And I answered it.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
I mean,
I even answered town calls.
But as far as if somebody goes on a cruise or something, there's
Well-
no cell service out in the middle of the ocean.
well, it doesn't say they have to be within cell service. I mean,
So they gotta carry it whether it works or not.
And really, we're talking about our CDX line. I mean, we're not talking about their personal phone number anymore.
Because they're-
And they have the ability to shut that off.
But
if
it's,
they're on
but I
personal.
don't, does
Well-
Tom have that line? I
But
thought
the
just,
on-call just has their direct dial cell phone number, like for like dispatch, that's, they don't have the 3CX number, they just have their number. However, they're not publishing it to
mhm,
the general public either.
Yeah, and they
you
wouldn't
know.
be calling them unless it was an emergency.
No,
mhm.
Did Nick draw this up?
Yeah,
yes.
So he figured that it had it covered, right?
I would agree with that, but I can run it by him, Chase.
Well, and
Or-
I mean, this might
actually-
be me nitpicking a little bit again,
No,
but
that's
it's.
okay.
I just
Why
want
don't
it
you-
clarified.
Why don't you guys,
Well,
Yeah, I can
if
check.
if you think it covers the needs now, then let's adopt it, and then, you know, you can take it back to him and ask that question, but at least then it's in the handbook for now, right?
yeah.
This is a working document, we can change it
Yeah,
at any
yeah,
time.
because we gotta make their pay legal. I mean, more than the verbiage.
Right.
Let's get the pay legal and touch base with Nick tomorrow, if you guys can do that while I'm gone. Figure it out.
So I'll make a motion that we accept the verbiage as written in the employee handbook for cell phone reimbursement, numeral 12, section A and B.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Roger and a second by Chase to accept the verbiage as written with a phone call to Nick to verify the intent.
I'll amend my motion with the follow-up phone call to our lawyer to review the verbiage.
And I'll still second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Roger and a second by Chase. All those in favor?
I,
Motion passes. Paula, can you make sure that phone call is made, Colonel, please?
Yep.
Thank you. All right, update the fee schedule to clarify the zoning fees. Okay, this I ran into because I have a zoning application coming in, and realistically, I didn't know how to bill them. Because somehow this got changed to a PUD, plan review. And these are not PUDs, these are storage buildings. So we need to change it back to just say plan review and plan revision. And variance request, because a variance of appeal, I don't even know what that is, because if you're appealing a variance, that's different than a variance of appeal. So a variance, we have a fee for that. In a mobile home park and a condominium plat review, that is in our zoning already. It's even stated that a plat review shall include a condominium and a mobile home manufactured home park. So I don't think we need to have all of this.
No, you did take out preliminary plat review as well.
The preliminary plat review would be a plat review, plan revision, or,
Okay, so that would fall under that plan review
Yeah.
consultation?
no, the
or
consultation
plan
has to
revision?
go. I don't know how that got left in there.
Which one?
The word consultation,
Okay, so,
that should be
Oh.
taken out.
That's in yellow.
Yeah, that should not be in there. It should just say plan review.
so anything involving mobile home park would fall into that plan review then?
Right. The consultation is, when they come to me, we don't charge for that. We don't charge for somebody just coming in and asking questions. Good Lord, that would be very, very lucrative here in the town of Saratoga. But when they start submitting paperwork and, you know, going forward with the process, then I can see where we would charge them.
Yeah, I think all that makes sense.
I'm not sure how all their stuff got in there. I just don't know where it came from, but regardless,
That would simplify the.
let's just simplify the fee schedule. We all know it's in the zoning ordinance. We all know we can charge.
That's covered, right?
It's covered.
I'll make a motion to modify the fee schedule to eliminate all of the wording in red that's crossed out and
The word consultation.
also eliminate the word consultation from the plan review.
I second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Chase and a second by Brian to revisit the fee schedule and to make the changes as so written, with the exception that consultation be crossed off also. All those in favor?
Aye.
Dan, can you speak to that? Do you know how those got in there, or? Oh, I guess you can't see this.
No, I have no idea. I don't know where that would have come from because
Josh know
I
anything
thought we
about it?
pretty much.
No. He would have never gotten into that.
Had went through that
This is all
pretty
commercial.
much with a fine tooth comb before,
Why is his name?
unless,
It would have had to been changed after I was a commercial building inspector. It's all do with commercial and zoning. So, I don't know, maybe Boz changed it with the idea that he was changing zoning. Maybe that's what happened.
could have been.
That could have
Could have
been,
been in the interim,
yeah.
in the middle, because
I
I never
betcha.
saw anything come through the.
Since we're
through the
updating
planning
the fee
commission.
schedule,
Yes,
didn't you mention something about the yearly dog license, that maybe that should? Or is that not
Raising
something you
your
want to
dog
address
license?
right now?
Pardon me? Is that me you were talking to? I thought you
Yes.
were talking Lorelei.
no, we're talking to
At one
you.
point, I think you had mentioned something about the yearly dog license that or maybe it was something else.
No, it was licenses, it was beverage licenses,
It was the, you
Late
know,
fee?
liquor
it was
license.
the, when somebody gets a refund.
Well, there was that, and we addressed that.
But I don't
already.
think I think the dog license, I'm just happy people, we're still good. You were doing the math on it, so we're not in the hole.
Okay,
It's close because postage keeps going up, you know, but we're sending out the thing in taxes and stuff. I think it's gonna get better, but,
how close are we?
well,
Oh,
I'm not prepared, Chase.
that's fine, I understand.
But, you know, my goal is just we want to make sure all dogs have a rabies vaccination. That's all it's about. It's not to make money on a license. You know, I'll do my part as the treasurer to collect them and license them, and that's all I care about, you know, make sure they're all got their vaccinations, and it doesn't cost us money to do
Well,
it.
that's the other thing, if it's
Yeah.
gonna cost us,
It's close. Someday it's gonna have to go up as, you know,
okay,
but for right now, I think
we're still covering costs.
we're still covering costs, yeah.
Okay, then we'll ignore that.
I know we raised the liquor license inspection, right? Was
The
it?
operators
Operators
license,
license
yeah.
Yep,
inspection.
for July 1, so,
Okay,
Yeah,
yep.
all right.
maybe that's
part
what I
of
was
the-
thinking about too.
You mentioned plat review fee, subdivision plats.
That's in there though, that's in our
Okay,
zoning,
The preliminary plat review.
yeah, that's in our zoning. Preliminary plat review,
Now, that would fall under that plan
Subdivision
review
plat.
that you have down.
yeah, because a plat is land, so plan review, that would be covered under a plan review,
Yeah, but I say that.
yeah.
Somebody wants to put in a subdivision, there is a preliminary plat review requirement by chapter 236.
With
of the state statute?
With that wording in it?
Okay,
Can I
maybe,
amend that motion then
Yeah,
to
let me-
leave in the preliminary plat review?
There's one of
Book
the
right here.
statute books here.
that's the one, yeah. I'm glad you're here, Dan, thank you.
Which statute was it?
236.
236.
Oh, that's not it. It's not the one.
No, you got chapter 60 there.
Yeah. Where is? Number. There we go.
Good luck finding it, but it's there.
I'll find it.
I think you read those at home.
I got it right here. Planning of lands, 33618. What are these? Accuracies. Final plats.
You get final plat review then too.
So a plat,
So,
a plat review is, a plat is land. So you're not reviewing the buildings, you're just reviewing the layout of the lands. So basically roads and, so you're saying that,
Well, subdivision plat.
okay,
You gotta get
the word subdivision in there?
Yeah, the name subdivision. But you got, you know, with PUDs and all the other stuff, with the subdivision plat was, that's referenced in,
Yeah, I'm reading it here.
Didn't you, when we were looking at this the other day, look in how it was written in the zoning ordinance, and wasn't some of those words
I thought-
listed in that section?
Yeah, but I'm not sure, now when he says subdivision, I'm not sure of that. Can I leave that one out for
well,
review?
yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
probably got it covered just with plat, but it, you know, there's, I mean, you wanna review the preliminary. plat.
Yes, absolutely.
That's your first step, and
well, I don't think it hurts anything to leave that one in at this point.
The
So,
preliminary plat review? Okay, let's leave that one in?
yeah, so I guess I will amend that previous,
To leave
I
it.
think he has to rescind it now that we passed it, right?
okay, I will resend the previous motion
yeah,
Or-
and then we'll just redo it.
adopting the fees, new fees, or,
Do you second the rescind?
Yes.
All those in favor of rescinding the motion?
aye.
Aye.
Okay, go
All right,
ahead.
now I will make a motion to accept the new fee schedule,
Leaving in.
leaving out the red word, the crossed out wording,
Leaving,
but leaving in the preliminary plat review of $300, and also removing the word consultation in plan review consultation. Did you get that?
okay, so I have a
I'm gonna
motion.
Go back and listen.
Motion by Chase, second by Roger, to accept the fee schedule with the exception of leaving in the preliminary plat review and the word consultation be stricken.
Did Roger, you did second that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. If you want me to write it out, I can.
No, I'll just
You're gonna
Upload
watch it?
it.
Okay.
upload them.
You can watch it on TV. All right. Sorry to make that so confusing, and thank you, Dan, for your input.
Well,
Request,
it gets hairy in that stuff.
yeah, I will read that, though. I'll remember that one. Request to transfer funds into a CD to be used for equipment purchase. Oh, boy. This one, Billy Joe, you gotta explain, because I would mess this up royally.
Well, the reserve fund for economic development, that is the contingency fund right now, that is on the cash summary form. The previous board had allotted that into that contingency fund, which, the last interest on a CD was 4%. I'd like to take that and put towards, you're looking for more for the equipment. that was ordered, that I could put that into a CD for that?
Right. I think how this came about, we did say we were gonna transfer 100,000 for the truck, and we didn't do that. We didn't physically do it. And now that we found out we didn't do it, instead of transferring it to the equipment fund, I would like to put it into a CD to gain,
And I can name an equipment fund on the CD.
okay,
You know,
But-
that's what you'll see reflected on here. And
right.
then are you gonna want the 70,000 still in a contingency fund for economic development?
I know that's a main title, it's not actually economic development, that's just the head title, but, yeah.
You probably should leave something there.
Yeah,
If
but,
something comes up for this year, right?
Well, for budget, you had 40,000 and then 35,000 for economic development that was budgeted, actual budgeted. There's
And-
5,000 left of that, cause
Yeah.
that went towards moving the building.
weekly, yeah.
So technically, there was budgeted some money. This is a contingency earmarked for that.
Okay. So how much do you think we would make if we put, let's say, 150,000 in?
6,000,
Oh, that's a good answer. How much for 100,000?
4,000.
4%.
4% basically, right? Yeah.
Oh,
So we'll still be shy.
I still wanted to look impressive.
but we
though,
already got
Mike.
100,000 there, Roger,
Right.
remember?
Yeah, then that's fine. I mean,
Yeah,
we'll still be a little short when time comes to purchase the truck, but, you know, we'll,
Yeah, cause we got the 135 already
yeah.
in an equipment fund.
And we had, in our budget, we were supposed to put another 100 in there, but we didn't do it. So there should have been 235.
No, there
Okay.
was $100,000 already put into that.
Yeah,
Because
before
if you
us,
look at
though.
the end of last year, it was, what, 3,000 something left or 4,000 something left, so
Okay,
that was rolled over.
oh, okay,
But you need that money for the next year purchase, so I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Could we use, unless you have a different intention for this,
no,
I would like to see us get some interest off of it, that just gives us a little bit more money, if it was all right to do that.
there's nothing else earmarked for a plan.
Not at
that
all.
We had discussed for this year at all, so,
No.
I mean, at least you make the money off of it. and-
well, let's make the money.
So what are we looking at needing to move?
150 or 100, what do you guys think?
You know, if it's money that's just gonna sit there and not be
Well,
used.
what do we have earmarked for?
You have 170 earmarked for economic development.
It was just a plop.
Mhm.
We just.
It
put
was a contingency, which means you have to earmark it for something, and that's what they did, is they earmarked that for that.
So do we need anything at all left in economic development?
That's your call.
We spent the 30,000.
It doesn't mean in the budget, come the end of the year, you can't budget for 2025, something for economic development, that by all means, that's not it. I'm just saying if you, I'm staring at it, and now that the park is not moving forward, that I'd like to see that get some money for the
Yeah.
And what's
equipment.
the current interest rate that it's getting?
4%. Oh,
Well, for the CD that.
well,
we would
no,
get
this is
into.
sitting in our general fund right now, which is,
Nothing.
That's
Nothing.
money market doesn't
0.25?
do nothing, right?
0.25,
Not
okay.
much.
mm-mm.
But I don't see any reason not to move the entire amount in there.
Oh, I'd do 150. I don't know if I'd do the whole,
I don't think I wanna leave us, yeah,
yeah.
Okay,
leave something.
Yep.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if something comes up that we want to use money for economic development, I don't know what we would use. We can take it out of general fund. We have money in the general fund.
well, right, as a board, you have a
And
right
we
to
also
move stuff
still have
around,
money.
correct?
Yeah, we can do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In the event there was an emergency and you needed to pull from a CD, you can pull from a CD.
Yeah.
Well, last year, at the end of the year, we had to move 20,000 in to cover public works, right? So, I mean, that
Yeah, that
can
is
happen
true.
at.
So moving things around happens. I would just like to see that, this particular thing that is earmarked, when we clearly don't have an agenda for it, but yet you are waiting to purchase a
Yeah.
vehicle and you figure just over a year before that comes
Yep.
to fulfillment, that this would be a way just to make something extra for,
It's a couple sets of tires.
I have
Yeah.
no problem with it.
What do you think?
I don't know if I'd do all of it, but I'd I have no problem with 150,000.
Okay,
If we would do like 100,000 and then 50,000, do two separate ones, that way if we did have an emergency, that we wouldn't have to cash the whole thing in? Can we do that, or would it not be feasible, or is that not the thing to do?
I think earning 4% on 150,000 is better than 100.
I think she was talking two separate CDs.
Yeah, I'm just talking about two separate CDs, just break them up in case something came up that we needed, say 50,000 or 30,000, and we didn't have it, we could, instead of losing the whole CD, we'd lose the interest on one.
Is there a
Otherwise-
penalty if we have to cash one out?
I'm sure there is some type of penalty. I don't have the answer for you
There
on
is
that,
on
but
mine, so I'm assuming.
Do you know what the rates are for a 6-month compared to a year?
I do not have that handy, no.
Because otherwise we could go for a shorter term and just renew it if we don't,
And I can check into that. I mean, if you wanted to make a motion to choose whichever one is the best,
well, usually longer gives you a little better rate, but
I would
if
believe
it's
so.
not much of a difference and we wanna keep
I-
some access, 6 months away isn't that far. A lot of times we can push some expenses off or do something if we feel we have to access that money
yeah.
early.
And at this point in time, at the beginning of the year, I would not see a problem with a year's CD. All of our CDs are a year.
In your best guess, and I'm just wanting you to guess, would you separate like 100,000 and 50,000, or would you do it all as one? What do you think would be the advantage or disadvantage, or would you just do 100?
I would do it all together.
Okay,
Because you'd make more money on a higher amount.
In reality, if, not that I would ever see this happening to the town of Saratoga, but we do have other CDs that are smaller that are not earmarked for equipment, they're investment
Okay.
CDs. So,
okay.
which two of them are 50,000, a 35,000, 10,000, a 15,000,
Okay,
off the top of my head.
Which bank do we use?
Nacusa
no,
State.
whatever.
We actually have two banks we work with, Paper City Savings and also Nacusa Port Edward State Bank.
Well, I was just looking at Paper City Savings here, and their CD rates go drastically down for a 6-month. It's 0.76% at a 6-month. At a 7-month, it's 4.6, and an 11-month, it's 5%. So, there's not as much between that 7 and 11, but if we do go down to a 6. it
What's
looks like-
Nacusa?
Would you like me to, check between Nacusa and Paper Cities and choose the higher for that 150,000?
If we're gonna have it tied up, we might as well have whatever's the highest
Okay,
rate we can get.
Okay, so, are we doing 100 or 150? Let's decide that first.
I agree with Brian, you should leave something money-wise sit there, if it's 20,000, or in case something
Okay.
comes up in regards to economic development that we thought
Okay,
maybe we want to earmark,
okay.
just a suggestion.
So there's 170 in there?
mm-hmm,
So if we take 150, that leaves 20.
mm-hmm,
All
correct.
right. How does that set with everybody? 150?
Can I ask a question, Billy Joe?
Absolutely.
What, we do some banking with Paper Cities in regards to funding, what,
Correct, they have a savings there for us, or we have our savings money in there.
okay. is
We
that-
tried other banks too,
I know we had agreed to try, keep the majority of the money within the Coosa Port Edward State Bank because they work so well for the town. So is the Paper Cities money listed here at all?
yeah, right there, Paper Cities.
Right there.
There it is. I guess I need to borrow your glasses.
Mine aren't
Yeah, and
either.
I'm not finding on the Nacusa Bank the CD rates, so
Okay,
I couldn't tell you what they,
and I'll talk to Patty too.
but yeah, I
check
think
both of those.
whatever's got the better rate, we should look at.
Okay,
5% versus 4%, pretty big difference.
it does,
Yes. And then, yeah, going for 11 months, that's not bad. 5% is pretty
So-
darn good rate.
so no longer than a year, and best interest,
Best interest,
okay?
whatever.
Yeah.
No more than 1 year?
Yeah,
Should we just motion it
I
and
do.
second it?
I do. Anybody wanna make that motion?
I will make a motion to transfer $150,000 into a CD of no more than a year, that of the best rate we can obtain between Paper City Savings and Nakusa Port Edwards Bank.
Second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Chase and a second by Brian to transfer $150 of the economic,
No,
what did I say?
$150.
I'm sorry, $150,000 out of economic development into a CD with a Nakusa State Bank, Nakusa Port Edward Bank, or Paper Cities, whichever has the highest interest, for 1 year or less.
Okay.
I have a motion by Chase and a second by
Brian.
Brian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. All right. We had a request by Dom Tar to cross Church Avenue, right across the bridge. Church Avenue runs, and in researching this with the help of a previous board member, it was determined in the minutes of 1979's meeting, I don't remember if it was November, I believe, it said that they had the ability to cross that road. There was a document that was made and supposedly signed. I could not find the document, so then I contacted Nick, or actually Paulette contacted Nick for me to have him draw up a document. And I wanted it to be really simple, but it turned out to be not so simple. It's quite an extensive document. Do we have that?
Yep, you should have it right below your stack of papers.
Oh, it's called road use agreement, right?
Correct. Yep.
And you got it. Okay, I have read it through. Nick called me a couple times at home this afternoon and we kind of went over it, and it says everything we want it to say. And I know it's asking David Ulrich to sign it, but I know he's on vacation, so Dave Orcott is the one that we need to sign it. But it looks good. It looks like everything that we have asked for. It's very detailed. So this section of road is actually one parcel, and the road goes through the parcel. And all they want to do is go from the driveway that's on the pit, cross Church Avenue to go to the driveway that's on the treatment plant land. And it's just back and forth, but it's very heavy pieces of equipment, and it's very, a lot of trips. So they're more than willing to fix the road, repair the road, replace that section of the road if they damage it. And this agreement has been going on since 1979. Even without that paper, the town just knew it was there. But Dom Tar, in talking to Dom Tar and us, we both felt that it would be nice just to have something on paper that we can refer to all the time. So then that's how this got drawn up. And
How did it come about?
They
If it's
called
been
me and
since
asked-
79?
in 1979, how it came about,
No, I mean, why all of a sudden just now,
that they want.
44 years later?
They've been utilizing it, but now there's a very heavy piece of equipment, it's gonna be a lot of traffic. And so they wanna make sure that we're still okay with that. So,
Basically, the equipment they wanna take over at are overweight on state highway standards. So
What it referenced here somewhere, I can't pinpoint it right now, but it said the piece of equipment they're gonna use could be
That was in the letter.
100,000,
That was the
right?
letter he sent.
Yeah,
Email.
okay.
Right.
Yep, there you go.
yeah,
And quite frankly, it does say that they agree to make any repairs.
Yep.
So,
yep, they were more than happy, and that's how it was worded back in the days. And Dan actually came in and told me, there's already a document, you just gotta find it. So, we did.
well, as long as they're still being held liable for any damages, I really don't see any
Actually,
problem approving
the
this.
road limit doesn't go on until after their drive.
But that 100,000 pounds goes over any,
Yeah,
No,
Even
but I
if-
say,
Yeah, but
when
that's-
Right.
road limits go on in the spring, they actually don't go on until after their driveway, to the east of their driveway.
That's how you remembered it, right? Yeah. But it was really a lot of fun looking in the minutes. I thought it was cool. But anyway, we found it, and now we're gonna have a new agreement if you guys wanna make a motion.
I think Billy Joe had a comment, I didn't hear what it was.
I was having a hot flash. That's what I
Too much information, okay, let's
said
go,
to Paula.
let's go back
I
to
said I
this
was
road,
listening.
Sorry.
road use agreements.
I'll make a motion to approve the road use agreement with Comcast.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion by Chase and a second by Roger to approve the road use agreement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. Okay.
I'll get that taken care of tomorrow.
Thank you.
It's a well-written document.
It is very well written for as fast as he did it.
The reason it was put into place is that's the year they built the treatment.
The treatment
Treatment
plant?
plant.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how you knew the date, right?
Well, no, I just know that I was involved at the meeting.
Yeah.
I knew it was there between 75 and 81 somewhere.
And I found it in 79, I think. Discussion on the solar batteries. Okay, I didn't have enough time. I got into a discussion with the building inspector before the meeting, but I was gonna print this out, but I want everybody to see this. Town of Saratoga does not allow storage containers to be in the town for more than 90 days. These are the battery storage containers. And there's 96 of them.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess are they, because this was allowed prior to the agreement that was modified? I mean,
so the agreement's been modified by Alliant and by the Public Service Commission. But Saratoga never got copies of this until I printed it out yesterday.
And there is a few things that need clarification in this too. Cause they've got in here, these structures contain systems control temperature and fire suppression. I guess I'd like to know what means they're controlling fire suppression by.
Yeah, so the reason this has really been brought to light just recently is Mike Hargy from the Coosa Fire Department came in and he said, did you see this? I said, I've seen the container. I recognize the flyer. They put out a flyer that this is what they were gonna look like. But I never seen a map of how many there were gonna be or the exact location of how they were gonna be set up and maintained. So I called Alliant and I asked, or I emailed Alliant. I said, do you guys have a map? And he said, as a matter of fact, we just got one out. So this is referred to in the Public Service Commission document. It said that they had to show a map and give it to the town before they can bring these in because they may need a conditional use permit or some other type of permitting.
Keep in mind, there's 40 of them already sitting there.
Yeah. And some of them came down 10 Mile Avenue instead of Blue Ridge.
How did they get across 10 Mile?
Good question.
those are long rigs hauling in there.
Yeah, but they did.
So in other words, we're thinking they went across the bridge.
They did.
Yep.
They did. And I know absolutely for a fact they did.
Now, in this document here too, they also reference a possible alternative site. I would assume that's already.
Yeah, they
big.
did have a 6-acre site. It's called out in that
Yeah,
document.
the 6-acre site that was used as pine.
It's still part of their land. I mean, where they're putting it is part of their land. It's just that in there it says it has to be buffed and it has to be blah, blah, blah. But that's not as concerned to me as what Mike Harchie is saying is, we can't spray water on these things if they start on fire. They're electrical. We can't put foam out there because foam isn't allowed anymore. How are we gonna treat these things? And so I asked Alliant and they said, well, we've never had any problem with them. Well,
That's not the answer.
That's not
And how
helpful.
long have they been
Even-
putting these in place?
But even Public Service Commission says the same thing. We have no incidents to compare it with. So are we the guinea pigs? I mean, that's how I feel, and I don't know what to do about it. Sure, Rob, go ahead.
I don't have much to say, but I was at the meetings when these people were there talking,
Yeah.
and we went from, we aren't gonna have any battery storage to now 98, and we don't know what's in them. I do have a neighbor that was at the battery meetings. He was at my house a couple nights ago, and he asked me what was going on, and I said, well, it sounds like they're bringing some batteries in, and he's a military guy, and a retired military guy, and he had some experience with these in the military overseas, and he said, and that was probably older technology, but he said that the military found that if you put them together so close, the fire suppression doesn't do much good once one catches on fire. He said it just
Oh,
goes
no.
from one to the other.
Got them packed right in.
Yeah, there,
His concern was the fact that you can't put the fires out.
Yeah.
I mean, electric car catches on fire, you can't put it out. But the chemicals that are, the emissions that, if it does catch on fire, it's a poisonous gas. And where does that go? I mean, are there any wind socks? Is there any evacuation?
it did mention that, Rob. I'm glad you mentioned
Okay.
that, because it did mention this in this environmental effects, and it said they were so low that they didn't even have to submit an environmental report
But that's with the assumption that they don't all go up in flames.
all at the same time.
I don't know, maybe we should, someone should be assigned to doing some research on it, I guess, I don't know.
Well,
Or the town's attorney, I don't know if we should look into them, because there are a lot of residents in the area, and if, God forbid, if something did happen, if there was a, this is unknown territory, and
And I do remember reading in this isn't, they are lithium ion batteries.
Yes, they are.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I guess I would be interested to know exactly the makeup of these lithium ion cells and the failure rate from the manufacturer.
And it says they're a new distributor, a new technology. It says that either in this letter or the other one that was attached. I'm sorry, I went on the public service website for this, and there are pages of documents supporting and non-supporting. And I was trying to gather as much information as I can, but the terminology they use is like state statutes. You gotta read it, think about it, read it. So it's, and a lot of it is just fluff. And I hope everybody's listening to that, because it is just fluff. It's, you're gonna do your best kind of language. And that doesn't always cut the
I
mustard.
would like personally as a resident, like, and I don't live, I'm downwind of them if the wind's from the northwest, so I would like to see some more research by either a consulting firm about this, because this is just a big.
Nobody seems to be, they're storage containers. I mean,
Well, that's something I have a problem with too.
yeah, that's,
We
our
told
ordinance
residents
says
that
no.
They can't have any storage containers, but we're allowing them to bring in storage containers to put their batteries in.
Are we allowing them?
Well, that's what that's,
Are we allowing them, or are they just doing it?
They're just doing it.
they're
at this
just
point.
doing it at this point.
That was discussed at previous meeting when they were in here, that
Okay.
that was the way it was gonna be. They're self-contained, the batteries will be inside, then if something happens, they're contained inside that unit. I remember that.
The problem is, we're telling all of our residents that they can use them only for short term, and we're allowing permanent storage out there in essentially shipping containers. It even has right in here, it says the word, resembles shipping containers.
Well,
A shipping container's not gonna hurt any of our residents. I think the focus should be on the safety of our residents and the amount, the mass. Has anybody ever put 98 of these
96.
lithium ion batteries in one area? And what's gonna happen if,
What does like Arizona, they have all them solar plants, they have all them storage too? I mean, there's miles and miles of solar panels
I
in
would like-
Arizona.
I would like direction
Nevada.
that says, don't sign
Nevada.
anything until we have more research done.
The thing in those areas, though, fire isn't quite as much of a problem.
Because it's all sand.
It's desert
It's desert and sand.
and water.
I mean, the air pollution is a different story, they
No,
still.
I'm not talking air, I'm talking poisonous gas.
Well, yeah,
Well, that'd be air pollution coming off, but yes.
There's a lot of unknowns here, and you don't live too far from them.
No, I don't.
It's just, there's too much, when we went from 0 to 98, and no one's questioned it, I don't know. Posted roads, don't let them bring any more in until we get this.
How much ability do we have to actually,
At this point, since we haven't signed anything, the only thing that we have signed is a decommissioning plan, which we put in battery, we put a section in for battery storage, but it was only, the decommissioning is remove everything you put in. So what we haven't signed anything as far as saying, you know, we're requiring you to do this if you're gonna have these batteries here.
now,
I'm not sure they would even
this is considered part of the
solar,
Wood
Yeah.
County Solar Project, correct?
right, but it's not, yes.
And the issue with that is, if you, is it over 100 megawatts? Any project over 100 megawatts, the towns are very limited on what they can actually
Agreed.
enforce.
Federal, right?
Right,
So
right, that
we're-
that falls into
It's-
state and
yeah.
federal,
Yeah,
and so,
it is true, however, I'm thinking we have the ability to, it's like, we ask for buffers, we ask for,
couldn't you reach out to who you speak with at Wood
Yes.
Fire-wise?
and, you know, I'm kinda thinking, so, about 4 months ago, this guy from Alliant contacted me, and he said, so, I need, what kind of documentation do we need for the battery field? And I'm like, why are you asking me this? And if you're asking me, that means you know something that I probably didn't know. So I said, well, in my world, as a previous building inspector, you're going to need a tracking permit for construction, you're gonna need electrical, and you're possibly gonna need construction. And I said, and you may need a zoning permit. And when I said zoning permit, it's a $20 permit. When I said zoning permit, he was immediately back emailing me. Like, it was like, nope, I'm not gonna do that, it's covered in our
GDA,
JDA. And
yeah, joint
I said,
development agreement.
no. I said, all it alludes to, the exact verbiage is that at this time, we have no intention of doing battery storage at this time. But he keeps going back, well, the Public Service Commission said we can do this, the Public Service Commission says we can do that. And I said, okay. However, the town of Saratoga says, and we went back and forth, and we are at an impasse right now. I wouldn't let him stop. I mean, I didn't say, nope, you don't need these. I just let him fall off to the wayside is what I did.
Did we contact Larry at all and see what he had to say about this?
Yes, I contacted Larry last week and asked him if we had any kind of an agreement with the battery storage, because I didn't have anything in the file, as far as the battery storage goes. So I asked him for everything he had, and he sent me just that one piece of documentation, and then I went to the Public Service Commission and got the rest. So, we don't have much.
This is two separate, the Wood County and the other, the one that's up and running right now are two separate identities.
Wood County project and Saratoga project are two separate.
Yeah,
That's right. Now, are they gonna share all these batteries? Or is
that's
half the
what,
batteries-
that's what I don't know at this.
Or who owns what batteries? or
The
how is
batteries
this-
right now
how's
is
that-
Wood County, but I don't wanna go
Has
and say,
Alliant
okay, you
officially-
did this.
So
Has
they
Alliant
they
officially
actually,
purchased the Saratoga one yet, or is that,
Not that I'm aware of.
okay, so yeah, that's,
We
they're
haven't
still two
received
different
monies
owners at the
from
moment.
them.
but are these batteries for the existing?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're in that site. They're on the Wood County site. So my assumption is they're for the Wood County, and I don't know if it refers to that in there as a shared, but I don't think it is a shared. because it's 75
All
megawatts.
it mentions is Wood County Solar Project.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's even,
And that's the one that's coming in, the Wood County.
No.
no,
the
the one that's
Saratoga
coming in is
Solar
Saratoga.
Project is the one coming in.
Saratoga, okay.
The current one is
This
Wood County.
okay.
Yeah. It just makes me very nervous when somebody starts being so confrontational so fast in a conversation. Maybe it just kind of raised my hairs on the back of my neck, you know, when somebody starts off right away going, no way.
Well, he asked you the question, and then you give him a response, and then he got, you know, kind of,
Yeah, defensive,
well, defensive, right?
Right.
So,
yeah. So,
So I hear a lot of, there was no battery storage.
right,
initially, when they come in, right, there was not gonna be any battery storage, and then they come back and said that they needed to add the battery storage units to back up the, you know, the megawatt capacity in the facility, so then that went through public meeting at the town hall, and
But nothing was ever, that was a public meeting, nothing was approved by the board, nothing like that.
but, and it went through a public meeting with people who know absolutely nothing about battery storage. I mean, none of us were aware of what they wanted to do. And they weren't forthright saying, oh, we're gonna do only 75 megawatts. It's a battery storage system. So when somebody says a battery storage system at 75 megawatts, I'm thinking small. I don't know why, but that was my assumption. But if they would have said, we need 96 of these storage containers to make 75 megawatts, okay, now I'm concerned. Because now it's not one entity, now it's 96 of these.
So who approved them to do this?
Public service right now.
So why don't we contact public service?
I haven't. No.
It's not ringing a bell. That's huge.
My fear, Brian, I guess my biggest fear is, number one, if we have a fire, what are we gonna do? And it's not just if the fire starts in these battery storage units, what if it starts a forest fire? I mean, what if a forest fire starts and then these catch on fire? Because we're in one of the highest risk in Wisconsin areas, correct? So,
Roman,
Well, why aren't they clustered into smaller groups so that they're all not, if one catches, or 10 of them catch on fire, all 98 won't catch on fire?
I think it's because of the cost of the transmission line.
I understand that,
But, yeah,
but is there anywhere where some of that,
Is there any dimensions on there, how far apart they're setting those?
If there are, I can't read it.
no, I couldn't blow it up either, I'm sorry.
No, that's,
I would like to get more information though
there
and
should
bring
be a
it back.
blueprint of the site?
There are gonna be groups of two that are 3 feet apart, and then between the groups is 10 feet apart.
Oh my goodness, you can read that.
And
Is there a containment wall around it? Is
No.
there anything? Is
No,
there anything?
I had asked for that, I remember. But they said, oh, we're on concrete. Well, when I read this, they are on concrete pads, but that doesn't contain any fluids. All it does is
but
give them anchorage.
But the units will contain, if there was any
Yeah, but
dissipation, right?
Battery acid, and I'm not sure this is a acid, but I'm thinking, and I don't know, but if there's a liquid involved, it's gotta be acidic, and that would eat metal, so how long is it gonna contain anything?
Don't have an answer for you.
I don't either, and that's kind of more information.
Can't you ask someone to come and explain this stuff to us?
That's my goal,
From
yeah.
Bitter?
I just want the rest of the people to be aware that we need a lot more information.
Clean safety measures.
Yeah.
it does say a lithium-ion battery applied at smartphones, power tools, and EVs uses liquid electrolyte solutions,
So
so.
when your battery goes bad, what happens to your cell phone? It gets hot, right? I mean, really hot. It melts.
You know,
Charging your phone on your bed can create a fire. We've been to several of them.
Really?
Yes.
Note to self.
And it does say in here that these units are being, they're gonna have basically AC, I can't remember the wording they have, but there is going to be,
AC only, not AC/DC.
these structures contain systems to control temperature.
And fire suppression.
Well, and fire suppression, but,
We got air circulation fans running across
right.
through the units. But what was the discussion on fire suppression? Was there anything in that regard?
They have, all they have is fire suppression, they don't have what is being considered fire suppression. Whether it's blocking off the airflow, or whether it's, you know, water spraying on them, or what exactly they're doing. And if they're using some chemical, that could very easily run into that groundwater out there and cause more problems, it's very porous soil.
Tell you guys what, I'm gonna do a lot of research. I'll come back at the next meeting with some info. I just wanted you guys to be aware.
I think the town needs to be aware.
You know, according to these
That's a lot.
plans, it doesn't look like it's, I'm sorry, Rob. There's 96 of these.
Right.
Which are the batteries.
Yep.
There's also another 24.
What are those?
That's a very good question. I tried blowing it up with my phone so I could see, and I have no clue. But there's, on top of the 96 of those, there's also these, which look like same storage containers or whatever they are, whether they're transformers or what.
That could be where it hooks off the power into those batteries.
But at that point, we're talking 120 containers, not 96. And those have the potential to start fire too if they're transformers. or
It says
whatever.
they're a skid. It says PCS skid.
If
I don't know.
anything, they should supply a blown up, 11 by 17 where at least you could see what we're dealing with there, and then ask some pertinent questions so that, get some answers from.
Okay. I'll get some
From them,
info and
right?
bring it back. Next meeting. All right, moving on.
All right, so that is what a PCS skid looks like.
Yep, that's what it looks like. Yeah, that's what, no, I didn't mean that sarcastically, I meant that's what the picture looked like. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that would be the batteries, well, this is a different style, but
yeah, that looks more attractive than this one does, but, okay. I'll try to get some more
but yeah, so
information.
we're looking at 120 and about those dimensions.
Okay. All right, moving on to plans on how to proceed with Kester Road. Did I go through this at the beginning of the meeting?
A little bit, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I do have, oh, I didn't bring, oh my gosh, I didn't bring the file.
This
Kester Road,
is a civil engineer.
yeah, the last two parcels on Kester Road, we were discussing whether we had to buy land from them because we didn't think we owned the right-of-way, the other 33 feet, but it comes out that I went to the courthouse, got the CSMs, and we own the land already. So it's basically, we have to figure out, do we want to straighten out the road, raise the road, put in a cul-de-sac, contact the party that may assist us in doing the road, how do we want to proceed? These documents here that we got from Quest and, what was
Point
the
of
other one?
beginning.
Point of beginning. Both of those just kind of gave us an estimate of what we can expect for cost. There's a lot of things in there that we're being charged for that I think with Doug on board that he can handle a lot of that. Mostly it's watching everything proceed and,
So the way this is proposed improvements, so proposed improvement for this project is to reconstruct the roadway and center it with the existing right-of-way, thus allowing the vertical profile to be raised, along with designing internally drained ditches to be installed on each side.
Yep. That says it all.
Well,
You got it.
Boy, that'll be an improvement there,
It will.
a safety improvement.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing is, do you go in, pulverize what's there, lay down another mat on top of it and leave? Or do you construct it where it should be, built the way it should be? I mean,
That's it in a nutshell.
That's the two options.
Yeah.
I think for the purposes of future use, we almost have to go the route of straightening that road out.
to do it, you might as well
Do it right?
do it right.
Okay.
I mean, you could take Young Street for an example of what that project would be like. Young
Yeah.
Street was real close outside of the alignment. It was a narrow
Oh, yeah.
canopy type road, and went in and ditched it and reconstructed. It was a total reconstruct.
That was raised quite a bit though, wasn't it?
You'd be a little more familiar with it
Oh,
than I
well.
would, but it probably was raised because of the ditching and the addition of gravel.
Okay.
But other than just physically raised,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay. Yeah,
bringing in fill and that stuff, I don't think it ever was.
I think, personally, I think we should straighten it out.
If we straighten that out, do we know how close these houses are gonna be to the edge of the road?
Well, they're still a ways off, but it's gonna be in their front yard. I mean, it's gonna be a normal setback for most people. But their telephone pole is in the middle of their front yard, so they gotta know this. I
And
mean,
it's been surveyed.
yeah,
They've got
yeah,
markers, the right of
Yeah.
way is there.
Yeah.
It's not like a surprise.
Yeah, there's just those two houses on the end.
yeah.
Looks like it's gonna be almost right outside their front door.
Oh,
Well, for the
no.
right of way,
Um,
cause you got this house and this house.
I do have their survey maps on my desk. Yeah. No, it looks worse than it really is. I hate to say that, but it really does look worse than it is.
So you said that the cul-de-sac, there's someone that purchased land back there, they're
Yes.
gonna develop it, and they're gonna
Yes.
cover the cost of the cul-de-sac.
We're gonna approach the entity that they work for and ask them if they will help defray the cost of a cul-de-sac and, possibly putting in something. I don't know where we would go with it. I would rather have Doug's input because he's more familiar with this than we are. And he's coming back on the 1st of April. So,
I think contacting the entity would probably be the first step, see how much, if there's any interest at all.
but if we don't straighten out the road, there's no sense of contacting the other entity because,
Well,
it
then
doesn't even have to.
for certain, we gotta straighten the road, we wanna do it right,
Okay,
but that's an addition to existing the cul-de-sac, that, you know,
we'll have to do a cul-de-sac if these people won't help us. Because we can't end their road without, if we're gonna make people conform to the driveway ordinance and put in cul-de-sacs and turnarounds, it's my feeling that that's the least the town can do.
what kind of monies are we talking here about all that?
It's a lot.
Just to go back years ago, that estimate right there,